There are many risks to retirement. Well, how do those risks affect you? How do those risks affect your retirement? What is the key risk that you need to be aware of? Those are the questions that you need to be asking yourself now. The risks that I see in retirement, how can I mitigate those? How can I stop them as much as possible so that I can have the best possible retirement? Now, that is what we want to be talking about today on Enriching Wealth. Yes, there are going to be many risks to your retirement, but we want to go through 4 opportunities that you have, and we take a look at the risks that are associated with retirement and then the opportunities that you have in order to do the correct planning. Now, the first risk that we want to be discussing is outliving your savings. You see, you have done an incredible job with saving over the years. This has been something that has not just been the last year, but over the past number of decades. And what happens then is that the wealth that you have accumulated, we have in your different buckets, the different accounts that you have there. And some are in a taxable bucket that we need to be looking into. Some are in tax deferred, like your 401k, your deferred comp plans. Those types of plans are going to be different. Well, all of that comes back to the number one risk with outliving your savings, that we need to make sure that those savings is translated into the correct areas to make sure they're going to be available for you today, tomorrow, and in the future. Well, how do we do that then? How do we plan for this? Well, that comes back to the different types of investments and all the different areas that we're going to be able to match up to your lifestyle. Well, obviously we need to know if your lifestyle is going to fit the wealth that you have accumulated. So if you have $2 million, well, living on $30,000 a month may not suit you. But if you have $6 million saved up, that may be a little different. So you see, the amount of money that you have saved is going to actually help dedicate and dictate how much you can be taken out on a monthly basis, with just a high probability that you're going to not outlive your money. Well, there's other aspects to this as well. You see, let's say we do need $30,000 per month to live on, or maybe we only need 6. There's going to be other opportunities for you for income, even in retirement. You see, we all know about Social Security, but we've never actually stopped to consider that the Social Security is going to be your largest asset. And for maybe you, your family, this may actually be your largest asset. And maybe it may be right up there as well as the top 1 or 2, because in retirement, most likely, you're going to be getting roughly between $1 and $2 million from Social Security that will be coming in. Now, that is going to be an incredible opportunity for you to make sure that you can be planning that correctly so that you can have a portion of your income needs coming from Social Security. Well, what else? We have pensions, annuities. All of that can be having guarantees associated with them. So what we're seeing is that we have guarantees with all of those different types of investments, products, and government, basically paychecks that are coming in that can provide a semblance of making sure that you never outlive your money. Well, then what that allows you to do then is use the other areas that you have for your investments, those other buckets, and use them correctly to fill in the gaps. Now, there's going to be a lot of planning that comes to that, but making sure that you have the correct planning of how much you need, knowing with a high probability the fact that it's going to last given certain parameters, and where the income is going to be coming from along the way will help make sure that you will never outlive your money. Second risk that you have out there then is coming back to what we are experiencing a lot of: volatility. You see, volatility in itself is not a bad thing, but when we have huge swings, 20, 30% swings in different stocks, and sometimes even different bonds, those swings can have dramatic effects on how much money you actually have available to use at any one point in time. And there's been a huge study that's been done recently that shows that if we have a massive amount of volatility in the first number of years of your retirement, well, that makes sure that actually you run out of money really quickly in retirement. So the more volatility you have in the early years of retirement is coming back and directly affecting the very first risk that we talked about with outliving your money. So managing that volatility comes down to the types of investments that you're in. Yes, we have stocks, we have bonds, but we have many other types of investments that are going to be well suited to make sure that we can reduce that volatility. And just picking those types of investments and putting them all together so your portfolio works together is going to be vital to make sure that, going back to that number one risk, that you never use the volatility to come back to outliving the money that you have. Now there's a third risk that you have associated with retirement as well. Anything related to healthcare. Yes, it has to be said that there's a lot of inflation that's happening in healthcare. Premiums are going up, prices of healthcare are going up, and how that's going to affect you is related to how much you have to pay from your own personal savings to actually have the healthcare insurance, the healthcare care that you need, the long-term care that you need, and that can get to be expensive very quickly. So yes, there are insurances that help out with that, but making sure that you have the correct insurances are going to be very vital to making sure that you, again, don't outrun and outlive your money. Okay, so you're seeing here how it all comes back to that one risk, never outliving your money. That is one of the primary risks of retirement, and everything else just helps to revolve and shift around that. Well, there's a fourth risk of retirement as well, an unexpected or early death of a spouse. You see, why this is very impactful is because maybe they have a social security income that you are relying upon, or maybe they have a pension that you are relying upon for some of those forms of income that go away, or maybe there's other things that crop up that assets go to other individuals, and all of that comes back to saying that you do not have as much in your own personal wealth to maintain your lifestyle. That's a huge risk when it comes to retirement. Knowing that that is a risk, now you can plan for it. And when I say planning for it, I really do mean planning for it. You see, when we talk about the different insurances, when we talk about the different ways that we can be looking at healthcare, when we talk about different ways that we can be planning for the estate in the untimely death of your spouse, well, all of those things come back to saying, what's the most likely thing that's going to happen? What are unlikely aspects that are going to happen? But what do we need to plan for with different insurances? Coming back to the estate plan, making sure that you have the money going to the intended people at the correct time, which I like to call wealth transfer. Making sure that we have the least amount of volatility possible for the amount of risk that you want to be taking with your portfolio, and then ultimately making sure that we have the other expenses taken care of, and if possible, by streams of income that will never go down, never go away. And one of those streams of income is Social Security. So those are different planning opportunities that you have, different ways that you can be thinking about how to look at the different individual pieces. Because when you retire, that's the start of a brand new chapter. But with that chapter comes a lot of different things just related to risks. Yes, you no longer have that income from your business or from your company. But that doesn't mean that those risks are unmanageable, and that does not mean that those risks have to sink you. Now, those are 4 risks, and I would definitely argue that those are very primary risks, and there's going to be a lot of others that crop up, but they're all circle around the number 1 risk: outliving your assets. With that, you may have questions, and there are a lot of videos here that you can be utilizing, looking at for some solutions, some answers, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Hey, like I just said, there's going to be many videos here that are going to be able to work with you in helping you to plan for your financial future so that you can create an impact for your family, for your community, and for the loved ones that you care about. Now, click on this video here to learn more, and feel free to subscribe and like us to make sure that others can be following this great content as well. I look forward to seeing you soon.